They charge.
It's almost 5:59.
I know. I'm watching it. We got a big crowd today. I'll set it down for a minute.
See, if we had the lead-in music, then we would know exactly when.
I mean, I can play Linkin Park into my microphone up here.
Linkin Park.
He always wants walk-on music, and I always tell him that it'll be Linkin Park. What else are we gonna play? It's like my generation. It's like my generation right there.
All right, so 6.
6. Oh.
It is 6 o'clock.
Here.
Let's do it.
Let's get going. Okay. We'll call to order the August 7th Truth and Taxation Meeting for the Logan Municipal Council. We only have 2 action items today. There are agendas at the door. If you haven't already seen them, you're welcome to pick one up. But our 2 public hearings are both related to a tax increase, and we'll just dive right into those. Are you okay if I send it over to you, Rich, and you give us kind of a rundown on our first item here, item A, Resolution 25-29?
Great. So we tentatively adopted our budget back in June in accordance with state law. Because we included a property tax increase in that tentative budget, we're required to hold this hearing, which is referred to as a truth and taxation hearing. Generally speaking, the city of Logan is entitled to receive the same amount of property tax it received from existing customers in the prior year as in the current year. If we want to receive anything more, and that includes an inflationary adjustment, we have to go through this hearing. So it's proposed that the city of Logan would raise its property tax rate by by 2.9%. It would result in an increase on the average residential home of approximately $7.69 per year, and it would raise it would increase property taxes on a business approximately $13.99 per year. The city has gone several years without raising its general fund levy. We did increase our library levy in the prior year. It is our philosophy that we should raise our rate through small incremental increases, like 2.9%, as opposed to one-time significant increases, as some taxing entities have done, which sometimes in excess of 10, 15, 20%. In fact, this is in the back as well. This is a required notice sent out by Cache County and is available to everyone. And you can see what many of the other entities in our valley are doing. Logan's is one of the smallest. So with that, we are required to hold this public hearing. We are required to allow those who might want to attend digitally, which electronically, which we have none at this point. So it would be, we'd open up for a public hearing for those who are here, hopefully, and then also those who may want to comment electronically. After this public hearing, it's anticipated we take action on this item, which is the tax rate, followed by the property tax, or sorry, the adopting the final budget for fiscal year 26.
Thank you. Because I didn't know about this until a few years ago, will you give us a brief, for those in the room, rundown on, and I know you kind of mentioned it, on how property tax is a revenue-driven tax? I'm using the terminology correct right there.
Help me a little bit.
But basically how we do only receive the same exact amount of money last year, and if property values go up, the rate actually decreases, correct?
I can give a very quick example.
Thank you.
Although this is dangerous, I don't do math in public. Assume for a second the city of Logan is brand new and there are 2 homes for $100,000 each. And the city has a property tax rate of 10%. So let's see, we get $20,000 of property tax, and
$10,000 for each.
$10,000 for each. Now this is where it gets tricky, and this often happens because you can't assess or reassess every home every single year. We don't have a perfect ability to do that. So assume we only have one assessor and they can only get 1 home assessed per year. They assess one of those homes and I gotta be super careful. This is where I'm gonna mess myself up. And they believe that home is now worth $300,000. Assume for a second that the city of Logan says, we're okay, we're not gonna raise our property tax rate above that 10%. Sorry. They would, at that same time, you would reassess the property tax, you would change the rate, you would lower the rate
Right.
to,
Because they,
I think, 5%, is that right?
On one house, right? Because the other house would be,
it would only be,
well,
it would only be
Yeah, the rate-
3.3%.
Yeah.
3.3%.
Yeah.
Right,
So I'll
right.
ignore the rate for the time being. The city of Logan says we're not gonna raise property taxes, so the city of Logan will get 20,000, but this time they get 5,000 from one of the homes,
15,000.
and they get 15,000 from the other. Now, the home that's paying 15 is gonna be hugely upset and say, what did you do to me? My property taxes are going up because my house value is going up. And that's partially true. It's partially true. But what really happened was one home was reassessed their value and the other home was not. The city of Logan actually didn't raise their property tax rate. They received the exact same they got in the previous year, which is 20,000, which is actually less real money because of inflation, and is suffering. We got one taxpayer whose rates went up, whose taxes went up, and the other one who went down. Now, we never hear from anybody whose taxes go down. They just, maybe they made a mistake, let's not draw attention.
We're not going to say anything.
But the ones that go up are very upset. Now, couple that with, we're raising our property tax rate by 3%. Assume we're doing that in the same example. Well, the property owner whose taxes went up by 15,000, or let's see, yeah, went up by 5,000, almost 50%. They're going to have a hard time believing we only raised our rate 3%. But what happened is the valuation is what changed how much they pay. This happens every year in the city of Logan. It happens on your property tax bills. It's Utah state law, and Utah state law is geared toward controlling what the city receives, not necessarily what individual property tax owners might pay. However, in a perfect world, the city of Logan raising the property tax rate by 3%, it's not 3% of your total property tax bill. It's 3% of the portion that comes to the city of Logan, which is more like 11, 12% of your overall property tax bill. So if you multiply those out, 3% times 12%, it's something smaller than that. Hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully that kind of
Thank you.
explains how the property tax laws work in the state of Utah. I don't love them, because I would much rather the individual payer understand exactly what they're paying, and that when we raise property taxes 3%, they actually see a 3% increase. But that's not the way it works that way.
So what law needs to change to have
Not one you can change.
Yeah.
not one that we can change here at Logan City? I guess it would have to happen at state level?
It would.
Yes.
And this law's been in place, I think, since 1980, 1985, something like that. So it's been a very long time. And it was put in place because cities were allowed to raise their rate by some percent. Let's say 3% was fine. Anything above that, you had to go through a hearing. And property tax rates escalated for a very long period of time. So they put this new law in place, and since that time, cities have generally avoided it because it's a difficult process to go through.
And what are the pros and the cons of this? Because there has to be a benefit to keeping this law.
I think from some people's perspective, low taxes are good, and I don't think anybody loves higher taxes. I don't think anybody's saying, please raise it more than 2.9%, please. But I don't think there's anything inherently positive about low taxes either. For instance, you could have the lowest taxes ever, but if crime is overrunning your city, then maybe that's not a great thing. There's nothing inherently negative necessarily about high taxes, unless, again, you have high taxes and high crime, then maybe that's not a great thing either.
Any other questions for Rich?
Again, let me just emphasize, though, our approach over the last couple of years and our intent into the future is to raise property taxes by a small incremental amount each year. in order to fund our operating budgets, because we can't do what we did last year for the same amount of money that we received last year. It's just impossible. All of us know that. Food prices are up, supplies are up, the cost of chlorine at our pool is astronomical. Utility rates are going up, we can't avoid that either. And we can't expect our city to provide the same services they provided last year for the same amount of money. So our hope is by raising it by a small amount, hopefully close to inflation, we can avoid huge increases in the future for when we realize we're just in it too deep and we can't survive.
So I'll ask the same question I asked Mark yesterday. What happens if we don't raise the taxes?
If we don't raise taxes, we'd have to cut capital in both the both the library and in the general fund. And it's approximately $89,000 in the general fund and $82,000 in the library, which isn't a huge amount. But it will be significant, and over time, we will basically bleed ourselves to the point where we would have to do a 30% property tax increase in 1 year because we're losing too many employees and we don't have the operating budgets to continue. That is what will happen if we don't continue to raise it by a small amount. Now, I can't guarantee that raising it by a small amount is going to make us completely healthy and we'll be able to avoid all situations. The city of Logan can't afford its needs, let alone all of its wants. But I think we'll be in a better position to deal with our ongoing issues of just trying to retain employees and retain services if we go through small truth and taxation increases.
So interestingly, you emphasize retaining employees and team members. I know there is cost in turnover. Do we have any estimate of what it costs us when we lose police officers or firefighters?
It'd be a guesstimate. I think they could guesstimate. It's just a guesstimate. Everyone knows that retraining, rehiring is difficult.
But we don't have a figure.
What's that?
We don't have a figure.
No.
It would be a guess
It's tough.
anyway. I'm really skeptical of all those guesses anyway. I think they're...
Rich likes hard numbers.
Yeah.
I don't
Some
think
squishy ones.
It's a really subjective number to get because as an employer, you know, you've got to put so much time into training people, but not everybody trains at the same rate. So some people are faster, some people are slower, some people demand higher pay, and it's a definite cost that everyone would like to avoid.
But certainly, you know, certain positions like a brand new police officer, how long do they ride with somebody else?
3 or 4 months.
3 or 4 months. So that in and of itself is a pretty big
Big
cost.
expense.
Yep.
But every other department has something similar. They may not ride with them, but we don't let somebody do payroll the first week they go here.
It's a quarter to a third of their salary is what it's costing us to train them.
A
So.
fireman go out and light a fire by himself?
No, we're not going to do that either. So every department has similar, but that one's very definable.
Yeah. I think the telling number here, Rich, is that across the city, the increase is $170,000 basically.
It is split evenly between the library and
It's not, it's a lot of money, but
It is.
in the grand scheme of things, it's not very much.
Just a quick comparison, I was going to say this in case I need it later, but the increase we gave to employees in the general fund cost $900,000.
In raises this year?
That's 10 times what
What we're getting back,
tax
yeah.
increase is giving us.
That's what I'm saying. It's like,
So that's just raises that we felt we had to implement. We've also had to react in other ways to employee turnover that are very, very difficult decisions subsequent to that raise. So, and then the operational increases that we've had to react to for Parks and Rec are a couple $100,000.
Yeah.
So
this increase is 5/100ths of our budget.
it is. But it's not inconsequential.
No, that's what I'm saying.
And
It's like,
again, don't do it for 20 years,
yeah.
and then you'll have a consequential increase.
No, that's what I'm saying. It's like, it's not a lot, it is a lot of money, but in relationship to the budget, it's 5/100ths
It is.
of our budget.
Anything else for Rich? Okay. This is a public hearing, so we're going to open it up for public comment for those of you who would like to come in and talk with us. I think our plan is to allow public comment for those in the room first, and then if anybody's listening digitally or online, but if they log in, then we'll move to online comments after in-person comments. For this first public hearing, we do want to keep it to Resolution 25-29. That's the first item on your agenda, so that is the tax increase, and then we will have a second public hearing after that for the adopting the final budget. So we'll open up for public hearing. Please state your name and your city.
Dr. Beryl Yost, and I'm very good at statistics. That's how I got here. We have just a major tax increase of $5.83. I think we can handle that. We have a home that we're still trying to make better, and it's 142 years old on the front of it. And it's still standing, and so are we. So we're very thankful that we live in Logan, because if we lived still in Tampa, or if I still lived in New York, it would cost us a lot more than our house is valued. So thank you very much. Thank you, Rich.
Thank you.
Katie Lee Colvin. For me, it's a $10.28 increase proposal, as I looked at mine, which also seems very reasonable, especially when we look at the comparison of what others are considering for increases. And I had reached out to Mr. Anderson to understand finances as I'm running for city council a little more, and as Mark, you said, it's such a small percentage of the 215 million budget the city has. We're talking about 160,000. I really appreciate the thoughtfulness that our city finance folks have and specificity about what the funding is needed for, not generally that this is a need because of overall budgetary needs, but very specific about we need it for the general fund, we need it for the library, and this is what we need it for. So I think for taxpayers, that's really important to have that understanding. The other part that I think is always, as was noted, but I don't know how many times it can be said to ensure that people understand the Logan City portion of our property taxes is 12%. So when we look at that number, it's a small portion of our total tax bill. And then last, there was a comparison done through this process in looking at our neighboring cities, Smithville, North Logan, Hyde Park, and Hiram, as well as further afield cities of Provo, Cedar City, St. George, and Ogden, to see how we sit in terms of our property tax rate and this increase, and we're very, very much in alignment, some of those being higher. And so it was reassuring to see that we are not outside of the lines of what some of our comparisons. So those are all, I just wanted to say I really appreciate the information that's shared and the specificity with a request for an increase. And the increase, when we look at our neighbors and some others, what they're asking, it seems like a very reasonable thing. Thanks.
Thank you, Katie.
Thanks, Katie.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Josh.
I like it.
Molitor from Logan. I think I brought this up before. With the, I understand, and I actually agree with the tax increase, because for the library, for emergency services, yes, it's needed. And it's not very much, but I want to, I want to, remind people that last time I spoke about this, I was concerned about renters, because we are a huge community of renters. And I'm hoping that this does not reflect back onto renters with property owners and was it real estate company, or not real estate companies, but rental property companies coming back and charging their tenants more, because that is a behavior that I've actually seen quite a bit in Logan over the past, I don't know, 7, 8 years. So just a reminder on that. So thank you.
Thank you, Josh.
I'm Roger Yost, live in Logan. So I just have a question. I see market value for my home, and then the taxable value is considerably less. But when I have another building that I built, it's basically a workshop, and there's no reduction. Market value and taxable value are the same. Why is that so?
Isn't that because you get a deduction on your primary residence?
40%?
45.
45. And so, yeah.
So there's a 45% reduction in market value to taxable value for a residence.
That's
But you
by
don't
state
get that
law.
on your
It's
second
occupied by the
residence
owner.
or on a business.
Yeah, for primary
It's
residence.
not business.
Oh, is it just
It's just a shed.
a shed?
Yeah.
You could talk to the county assessor.
Yeah.
That's a good question. I didn't know it was on a shed, but yeah, it probably, they don't give you that exemption on that because it's not a residential dwelling, I'd imagine.
But again, it's the county and the county assessor that determines that, so you could certainly contact the county with that question.
Yeah, so it's a detached shed.
It's
I didn't think
detached
about
right
that, but
now.
that's probably, I'm guessing, because I don't know for sure, but I'm guessing it's because it's not a residential dwelling, you don't get that exemption on that
Portion.
portion.
And it's state code that has that
It is.
45% reduction on your primary residence.
Yeah.
Okay. And if I attached it in the future,
Then it becomes part of your
That is
house.
always a possibility, yeah, that is always a possibility. That might cost you more
Are you
than
gonna do like a
taxes,
hamster
though.
tunnel between the two?
Yeah, that could be an expensive
Yeah.
tax decrease.
Thank you. Thank you, Roger.
I've thought about the same thing myself.
Mark's gonna start living in the store.
I've seen some other properties in other states, and it's like, I wonder why they do
Sleeping
that.
under the sea,
Oh, it's because it's not detached anymore. Yeah, so, anyway, sorry.
Anyone else interested in speaking to this item? Do we have anyone digitally? Okay, seeing no one come up, we'll close the public hearing portion, and we will bring this back to the council for discussion and/or action.
One last question. If you already mentioned this, apologies. You mentioned that the increase, which I believe is an average of 4% performance base for the employee base of the city, was about 900,000.
For the general fund,
So
Just for the general fund.
just general fund.
So where is the rest of the money coming in to make up for the difference?
Probably more for the next public hearing, but it's from every single revenue source. As you go down the line, I can kind of go down with you, but it's from sales tax, even though sales tax is flat. It's because in the prior year, our estimate was 200,000 conservative. It comes from that. It comes from property tax, both the increase as well as the new customers that moved in. And that's about 130,000. And then from building permit, estimates went up slightly. Transfers in from enterprise funds, charges for services. It really is every single revenue source. And you gather it all up, it's just over probably $1 million roughly.
Yeah,
Thank you.
good question. I don't have any more questions.
Jeannie, are you still with us?
Yes, I am with you, and I do have a question. Is there a way for us to verify that all of the rentals are being taxed at not owner-occupied rates? Because it seems that that might provide an additional revenue source to both the county and the city if we were to be able to verify that.
So it's all up to the state and the county for that part, but even if it's not your primary residence, if it's someone's primary residence, such as a renter, they would get that residential exemption under current state law.
I understand that that is something that the county can decide. I talked to the state tax commission, and in reality, if they're running a business and renting a house, it is not qualified as a residence. It depends upon the county.
I've heard that, is it Summit County where Park City is? Yeah, I think they do that.
We could look into it, but
That'd be a big tax increase.
Yeah.
it would be a
So I just think we need to investigate that, and we need to determine whether,
You know they would just
in
pass that.
fact, the rental housing is being taxed as a business instead of being taxed as a residence.
we'd have to talk to the county.
Yeah.
It's really, unfortunately, out of our hands, but
I realize that's not part of this discussion exactly.
That's fair. It's a fair question though, so.
Thank you, Jeannie.
I would move, if no more comments, would move approval of resolution 25-29.
I will second that.
We have a motion and a second. We'll do a roll call vote since Jeannie is not here with us in person. Mark?
Aye.
Jeannie?
Aye.
Ernesto?
Aye.
And Mike? Aye. Resolution 25-29 passes. Thank you for your public comment on that one. We have one more item tonight. This is another public hearing, and this is a consideration of the proposed resolution approving the revenues and expenditures of the budget for the fiscal year 25 and 26 to the amount of $218 million, almost $219 million. This is resolution 25-30. There will be a public hearing for this. I think we'll do the same thing. So if we have online comments, we'll take those after the in-person comments. But if we'll have Rich give us a rundown real quick on this one. Give us the 2-minute what we're talking about. I know we know what we're talking about.
2-minute overview.
Give everyone else the.
We tentatively adopted, as we've discussed, we tentatively adopted this budget back in June, so we're now requesting to adopt the final budget now that we have an approved property tax rate. 218 million, it's 70,076 in the general fund, 2.986 in the library, 3 million for our 911 fund, which is part of the city of Logan. I'm skipping some of the smaller ones, so if I skip your favorite, I apologize. 16 million to run the water and sewer department, 12.3 million for the sewer treatment fund, which also has a $200 million asset that's supported by those revenues. 53.5 for our electric fund, and approximately 11.2 for health insurance.
For city employees.
For city employees. And that's health and dental.
Yeah. So this is our final city budget for the next year.
The
Fiscal year, yeah, for the next fiscal year.
already current fiscal year.
The fiscal year we have started. Any questions for Rich before we open up for public hearing? We spent a lot of time going over this in May and June.
I was going to say, it's like we beat it to death.
Okay, we will open it up for public hearing. If you would like to speak on resolution 25-30, you're welcome to come to the microphone, state your name and city of residence, and I was going to say take 3 minutes, but we have to get to listen for as long as people want to talk tonight.
Dr. Gail Yost, I think considering how we live in this city and that this is one of the lowest rates of a city anybody can provide anywhere, no less than Utah. I am very thankful, and keep it going, guys.
Thank you, Gail.
Thanks, Gail.
Seeing no one else in the room, do we have anyone virtually? Okay, we will close the public hearing for Resolution 25-30 and bring it back to the council for comments, questions, and/or action. And I want to take
Go ahead.
2 seconds to just thank Rich and Mayor Daines on how conservative our budgets always are. I know I've only been on the council for 2 years, so this is the second one that I've looked at, but I've always been impressed that we're not overextending ourselves, and we're not. I had a conversation with Paul Lindhart recently about projects that I would love to see happen in Logan, and he mentioned something to me that I think is a good thing that all of our city employees have noticed, that we can build anything we want, and they're all good projects. There are so many good things we can do in the city, but at the same time, being conservative with your budget and not overextending yourselves is so important. And I just want to thank you guys for not blowing the whole bank account. So, and making sure that we have reserves and safety nets.
You're the ones that adopt.
Or you do it.
Well, you guys presented it, so.
It's all about making sure our needs are met.
Yeah.
And we can
And we
do
have
a
safety
few
nets
wants.
and-
Yeah, we have a
Start
few
working
wants,
on those
yeah.
capital projects
Yep.
again, anything. And again, our department heads are really good. If they don't spend their budget, which most of them do not spend quite all of it, it comes back. And again, then we can enhance rolling stock. We can put it towards capital needs. And we, again, have chipped away with your approval at a lot of really good capital projects over the last 7.5 years.
Yeah.
But thank you for presenting a conservative budget. I've said my piece.
Good.
Check
Check with Jeannie if she has anything.
Jeannie, any thoughts or comments?
I move approval of the budget.
Jeannie's made a motion and Mark has seconded. We'll do a roll call vote. We'll start with Ernesto.
Aye.
Jeannie?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
And Mike? Aye. We have a budget. Resolution 25-30 passes.
Wow. We can spend money again.
Well, or save money.
Or save money, whichever way you want to look at it.
Yeah.
We'll do both.
Thank you, everyone who came tonight. That is everything on our agenda. So we will adjourn our meeting this evening. Thank you for coming.